Vasudeva. Sahana vavatu sahanau bhunaktu sahaviryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So yesterday we have studied about the two factors. One is desire dominating and controlling action, and other is mental control which substitutes for desire. A planned campaign which will run counter in many cases to normally sensed defined desire. In all the above, even in connection with what I have said concerning homosexuality, I have considered either rampant or inhibited desire. So this also we have studied. So it is the desire which is where desire is inhibited in all kinds of diseases, cancer, congestion of lungs and certain liver complaints become impossible, as well as the dread malady of tuberculosis. All this we have studied yesterday. So now we pass on. We have considered our second point under healing of diseases which arise in the emotional or desire nature. Our first point deals with the uncontrolled emotion. I would remind you of our premise that we would only consider the ills to which advanced humanity, the aspirants and disciples of all degrees are prone. So here he is explaining that what will be the subject that is mainly given importance is about the diseases to which advanced humanity and also the aspirants and the disciples of all degrees. So mainly about these diseases it will be further discussed. We will not deal with the whole gamut of diseases which affect humanity as a whole or down the edges. The more advanced the aspirant, the greater probability there is that the diseases from which he suffers will be pronounced and powerfully demonstrating. So this is an important point to understand. When the aspirant is more advancing on the path, so this aspirant, before entering the path of this, he also might have suffered from certain diseases like the other human beings. But here what is explained is when the aspirant is advancing on the path of discipleship, then the diseases from which he was suffering from before will become more stronger and powerful. Why it is so? It is on account of the inflow of greater or lesser degree of stimulating force of the soul. And this we have to understand. So in the case of the aspirants, when you advance on the path, then the inflow of the soul energy will intensify. So this intensification of the inflow of soul's energy aggravates, increases the intensity of the diseases which this person was suffering before. This we have to properly understand. Otherwise, that is also explained. Otherwise, we cannot understand why it appears for us, because many people, they experience and they say that before I started all these practices, I was quite okay and I was doing what I want. I was very free and no problems. But now when I entered into discipline and following this, now I have more difficulties. That is what many people they claim. And this will mislead their understanding, because then they think that those who are not in the spiritual path are happy and we are getting more difficulties like this. They start thinking. But the reason of all this is if that stops, it will be very hot. Then I will raise my voice, no problem. Because for me it is okay, but you cannot sit after a few minutes. If it is very hot, then you will be like this. This is the difficulty. I will stand up and raise my voice, don't worry. I have enough energy. Here the point that is under discussion is that when you are on the path of discipline and this discipleship, then the inflow of energy from the soul will intensify, will increase. And this inflow of energy will aggravate the suffering, the diseases which the person was having before. This is because the vehicles, the body will not be able to withstand this increase of the inflow. Subsidiary to the 5 major groups of diseases to which I earlier referred, and working out in connection with them in human frame, a group of symptoms which are loosely covered by them, by the terms. What are the group of symptoms that is mentioned here? We will see. Fevers, tumors, congested areas in the body, congested areas, general debility, auto intoxication, auto intoxication, I would have you remember this with care and bear steadily in mind that I am here only generalizing. So it is in general, that is, he is explaining, not in particular but in general. I will give you some few examples from which you can know this better. For example, when you are addicted to certain things, like coffee or alcohol, for example, I will give you some examples to understand this better. When you are addicted to certain things like drugs or alcohol or narcotics, suppose you stop all these things because you wanted to be on the discipleship, path of discipleship, as an aspirant. Then what happens? You have stopped this, but all that what you were having all the years before, this effect that gets enhanced, renewed and enhanced. When you stop this suddenly, the effect will not go away immediately from your body. So, and also your body will also suffer, because it is not just a physical body, because of the astral influences. It makes your body suffer more when you stop these things, so that it wants to impress your mind to bring back into these things, unless you are very strong. You will not be affected if your mind is disconnected from this. That is the trick. Otherwise, it brings much difficulty. Your mind should be disconnected. If you are trained about this, then it is not difficult. This is only just an example. So all these years before, you are habituated, it become a habit. And if you cut the habit, you have only cut the habit physically, but your mind is not disconnected. That it makes the problem. You can experiment this in your life, and you can experience this. But if your mind is immediately disconnected, then there is no problem. This I can tell you, because I was addicted to coffee from my childhood until some years. And one day in the morning, after prayer, it came to my mind, why should I drink coffee? knowingly, I know that it is not good, it is not useful, it is not necessary. So why should I continue? Because before that I was drinking coffee so much. But as such I have no physical problem. Even though I was drinking so much coffee every day. But it came in my mind. When this came in my mind, then I connected to the Master and stopped immediately.
You are talking about yourself?
Yes, myself, my experience.
Your experience? You were drinking
Coffee, yes.
Wow.
Yes. I was drinking coffee from my childhood. I got habituated, I don't know how I was habituated like to drink coffee. And when I was habituated to drink coffee, I was drinking intensely coffee. So one morning it came to my mind after prayer, suddenly it came a thought, why should I drink coffee? What is the use? Then I said, stop, it is finished. I made a decision that I should stop immediately. Then nobody could believe when I said I stopped. I was a guest in my father-in-law's house, and my mother-in-law prepared a good coffee and brought it. I said, I am sorry, I am not going to drink coffee anymore. She said, are you joking? She could not believe.
At what age?
In 1980, 30 years.
30 years ago.
At the age of 29 running, at this age, suddenly it came to my mind. So she could not believe. She said, you are joking with me. I said, no joke. It is true. Exactly. I stopped. From when? From now, I said. From now, immediately, I stopped. She said, no, you will ask me afterwards, I will give you. And I told her, in this birth, I am not going to ask for coffee, and I am not going to accept also. I don't know about after later birth, but in this birth, no, finish. So after that moment, coffee has disappeared from my mind at all. Even though all the people are drinking coffee, no effect. So, luckily, because when this decision came, I have connected to the Master and said, please bless me to cut off. So, I received this blessing and cut off and not affected. Even though all the people are drinking coffee, not tempted, not at all. So, if you are disconnected with the mind, there is no problem. Because many of my colleagues, many of my friends were telling that if you suddenly stop drinking coffee because you are addicted for long years, you will have problems. I had no problem at all. No mental problem, no physical problem, nothing. So it is possible. True liberation. It is possible. Only when you are mentally disconnected. If mentally not disconnected, physically you stopped, then it will be a big problem. Sorry. This I can tell you strongly from my experience. Because I have only coffee, no other things to tell you. So there will be aggravation. Aggravation means increase of the past diseases of the aspirant. This is because of increase in the inflow of soul energy. That is what is explained here. Force from the soul. So diseases of, now he is giving, here once again, he is giving another classification. In the homeopathic...
This classification was about what? About this can be if you practice
the diseases which will be caused by increasing inflow of soul energy. For that he is going to give classification. In the homeopathic treatment also, many times there will be an aggravation, but it is not the aggravation of the disease, but the aggravation of the symptoms. This is to be properly understood, but otherwise when you are studying homeopathy you will be confused. It is not the aggravation of the disease, but the aggravation of the symptoms. Fever or inflammation, pains and all these things. So that is different. So here, first he is giving diseases of worry and irritation. Diseases of worry and irritation. So this is the another category, because previously he has given other categories. So they arise in the emotional or astral body which is esoterically synthesized under the name diseases of irritation. So the complaints which arise in the emotional astral body are termed as diseases of irritation. These are the insidious poisons which lurk behind the phenomenon of a disease. It might be said that all diseases can be covered by two definitions from the standpoint of occultism. All diseases can be covered by two definitions from the standpoint of occultism. Diseases which are the result of auto-intoxication So these are most general diseases. Diseases which are the result of auto-intoxication, these are the most general diseases. And diseases which are the result of irritation. diseases which are the result of irritation. These are very common among the disciples. We hear today about auto intoxication very much, and many efforts are made to cure this by diet. These can be cured by diet and the regulation of life. Diet and regulation of life. So the diseases of the first category, the result of auto intoxication, they can be controlled by diet and regulation. Diet and regulation of the life in terms of rhythmic living. Regulation of the daily life in rhythmic living. All this is good and of help, but it does not constitute a basic cure. Irritation is a basic psychological complaint. Irritation is a basic psychological complaint. So it has in different degrees in different persons. It is not so easy to get rid of this. In homeopathic terms, as long as there is psora in the person, you cannot completely eradicate this irritation. It depends upon the intensity of the degree of the miasm. Even the disciples on the path also are not free from this. Once there was a Swamiji, because generally people, normal people, either here or in the Occident, it makes no difference. I can see from my experience, I can tell you, when you see a person with saffron robes, like a sannyasi, Swamiji, then you see, then this person must be having all the high qualities and all, so wisdom and all these things. The outward appearance is not so important. We must be careful. Because real masters will not make any outward appearances. So, once there was such a Swamiji who said, and then there is a person who is also in the group. He was disciple from the families of disciples of Master E.K. This person is having a special quality. He tests everybody. So he went to this Swamiji and said, Swamiji, any time you get angry, you get any anger, because if you get anger easily, then you cannot be a real Swamiji. But many Swamijis today easily get angry and irritated. That is a different thing. So this Swamiji said, no, I am very calm and balanced. Because you see, I am a Swamiji. I am in a saffron robes. I am a sannyasi.